Good morning. Perspectives here. I just want to also delve into the current controversy surrounding the palliatives by this illegitimate government that is in place in Nigeria. The imposter regime just announced 3 months after the president recklessly announced doing away with the subsidy regime that he would be putting a palliative in place for about 500 billion naira. The idea of a palliative is good, but you see, sworn in 29th May, he threw away the subsidy as it were, by the wave of the hand, and then he had to take June, July, to come up with a palliative. You see, that's what happens if you spend time planning to rig, you won't spend time planning to govern. That's what happens. You will see the disconnect. They spent all the time planning to rig, they couldn't spend time planning to lead, because that's why it's an illegitimate government. Otherwise, they would have had their acts together. They would have known that anything concerning petroleum in Nigeria is a very sensitive issue and shouldn't have been handled without much thought and planning. Okay, so the idea of removing the subsidy is something that must be done because, it's become a huge corruption center. A lot of people are profit from it in Nigeria and people are dying. The masses are suffering, even though the masses themselves sometimes can be really stupid because people are still keeping these same people in government. I don't know what else you will do to them for them to realize that there are just two classes in Nigeria. Just like they had the proletarians and the bourgeoisies in the days of Karl Marx and the rest of them. We have the politicians and those who are being led. And you just blindly support people who will bring in all kinds of policies in place that will impoverish you, and people are not thinking. People are not thinking. The idea of election or elections all over the world is somebody has a good track record, you bring him to power. Somebody performs badly or you assume he's going to perform badly, you push him out of power. That's the idea. Now, this rogue regime has come up with this policy, a good policy wrongly implemented. Let me also say what I think about it. I think from what I read, they said they're going to give 8,000 naira to, 12 million families? Okay. How do you, with what database? How are you going to distribute the $8,000 to 12 million families? I don't think we have the database to do that in Nigeria. We've never tried to set up that kind of database that will track you back to your family. Is it to 12 million Nigerians or to 12 million families in Nigeria? If it is to 12 million families in Nigeria, I assume an average family in Nigeria is father, mother, and 4 children. So are you going to give 8,000 to 6 people every month? Or are you going to give 8,000 to 1 person in the family? I need to know. We need to know. If it is to 12 million families, it's different from 12 million Nigerians out of 200 and something million Nigerians. And how will these assuage the effect of what is currently going on? 2 things are happening wrongly on the wrong side. One, dollar has gone to over 800 right now. And I understand petrol has also gone to 600 and something, either 617 or heading towards 700. Nobody can survive that. Nobody can survive that. Again, I say that's what happens. When you spend all the time, spend all the money planning to rig, you don't spend time planning to govern. Now you rigged, and through the back door you are in office. You have nothing to give. You have nothing except chaos, and that's what is happening. I would have thought, like I said, every Nigerian agrees that subsidy should go. But it is not something you just announce with a fiat and just say, subsidy is gone, without plans of how to assuage the removal of the subsidy, as it were. If you ask me, a good government coming in would have thought this out last year, 2 years ago, before even coming. If we have to remove subsidy, how do we remove the subsidy so that the impact on Nigerians won't be, so adverse? That's what they would have thought. They would have gathered their think tank. They would have sat down to say, this is what we need to do, and this is the process we need to follow to get this thing done without harming the system. It's just like spraying weed killers without killing the real crop that you want to protect. I would have thought the first thing they would have done would have been to say, okay, this high exchange rate is killing Nigerians. And because fuel is imported, a high exchange rate will not augur well for Nigerians. The first thing they would have done would have been to say, how do we bring down the exchange rate drastically before announcing this removal? How do we bring it down? I understand that the landing cost of petroleum products, or PMS, in Nigeria is about 360 naira, approximately 358 there, about 360 naira. And if you look at that now, is just about 50 cents a liter. 50 cents a liter at 350 naira. Dollar has no basis. It's just the greed of Nigerians. I understand they've mismanaged the economy completely. But dollar has no basis rising to 800, 1,000. It's just because of the greed of some. A good government would have found ways, first of all, to tackle this basic problem before removing subsidy. If they don't know what to do, they should have gone to ask Osibanjo what he did when the lackluster president that left, usually traveled for his medical jamboree. Osibanjo will enter into office and do one or two things. I don't know what he did, but at least they know what he probably would have done. And for 3 good years or thereabouts, if I check the record, dollar was at 350. It was at 350. You could plan. You could plan with that. Now you can't plan. Last week it was 700 and something. Now it's 800. Hope maybe in the next 1 or 2 weeks it could go to 900 or 1,000. There's no leadership. But Osibanjo was able. I don't know how he did it, but I know one of the things he did was to flood the market, the official market, with dollars. And then the unofficial market collapsed. The rate at the unofficial market collapsed. They've not been able to establish a consistent exchange rate, not even consistent for 6 months, and they are removing the subsidy. The first thing they should have done would have been to, what strategy do we put in place to bring down the exchange rate so that the landing cost will not be 360. And the landing cost, if they had managed to bring down the exchange rate to 350, which Osibanjo did, they should go to him and ask him what he did. The landing cost could come down to 170, the same 50 cents per dollar. Then, if you plan to remove it, the next thing you will do will be to say, it's not about giving 8,000. 8,000 will not do anything. It will do something, but it won't be substantial enough. And like I said, I don't know whether it's to individuals, 12 million individuals or 12 million families. What will it do for 12 million families? So if you do that, bring down the exchange rate to the extent that $1 is perhaps 350 naira, and it's still 50 cents the landing cost, then that's about 170. If you do that, you would have tackled one problem. The next problem will be, if I remove this, what will the marketers do? Then you have your inefficient NMPC there. If you could put somebody at the top who will do something right, flood the place with your own petroleum products that could take you for 3 months. And you have an exit strategy. An exit strategy in such a way that Dangote, I don't know what is going on in Nigeria. Somebody commissioned his plant, yet he has not started production. I don't understand it. The installed capacity at Dangote's refinery can produce, all the petroleum products, and particularly PMS, that will, drive the whole of Nigeria and more. The thing is there, it's new. They say it's the biggest single whatever. And it's been commissioned before May. I think it was in May that it was commissioned also. But they have not started production. So, whatever strategy you have should be holistic. That you have enough petroleum products that you will sell at not more than 170 for 3 months. Within which Dangote will start producing. I don't understand it. I mean, E.V. Bowden said economics is the science of common sense. That's what it is. There's no way Dangote's refinery will sell his products like the ones imported from above. Nothing will make his costs be like the ones imported from abroad. They give him crude here, he refines the crude here, people come and lift. It's not imported. No landing charges, nothing. So first and foremost, bring down the rate, the dollar rate. If you bring that down, you would have achieved something. Next is, if I remove this thing, what will happen? Oh, these businessmen, okay, who are always after profit, will try to jack up the price. Okay, you try to frustrate them also by thinking in advance, flooding the whole place with your own products that will take you for maybe 3 months, and then plan an exit strategy. When you finally remove it, Dangote continues, because that's the option we have now. All the modular refineries, I don't know, none. I don't know what is Nigeria cost. Is Nigeria cost? I remember the Newswatch edition of sometime in 1980 something, where they said Nigeria where nothing works. If you remove it, then with your exit strategy, this Dangote starts producing, refining petrol for the country. You would have achieved so much. If you touch